As a part of his agenda, he and his allies would limit access to birth control, ban medication abortion, and enact a nationwide abortion ban with or without Congress. And get this, he plans to create a national anti-abortion coordinator and force states to report on women's miscarriages and abortions. Simply put, they are out of their minds.
The Democratic National Convention in Chicago was memorable for all the right reasons. Now, we have to get to work. Welcome to MOMocrats MOMochat, part of the Demcast family of podcasts. I'm Donna Schwartz Mills with Karoli and Aliza Worthington from crooksandliars.com. And we are going to bask for a little bit longer in the glow of what the Democrats presented for the last 4 days. But before we do that, my goodness, Aliza, your office has changed.
It has changed. Can everybody see this magnificent view from the Airbnb that we're staying in? We are in Petoskey, Michigan right now for my nephew's wedding. So
well, you gotta knock on some doors while you're there. And
well, let me tell you, I am wearing this shirt.
Yay!
Boob shot for everybody. And I went to, the tiny, adorable, beautiful downtown this morning for breakfast by myself. And a number of people before I came here said, we went to Detroit first, by the way, a bit of background, because I have a number of friends in Detroit. And one of my friends, who is a little bit older than I am, I'm 55, says she's never been up north like this by herself because she is afraid to come up north because of how red it is. And if you look at the states, if you look at the map, you see it is all, if you look at a voting map, I should say.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All red. And she's afraid to come by herself because she's a photographer and she would love nothing more than to come up and photograph the falls, photograph these, things. We're very close to Canada. Beautiful. She's in the press pool for the Pistons, for the Lions, all the Detroit sports teams. She gets on the tarmac when Kamala Harris touches down, when President Biden touches down. She gets invited. She's a world-class photographer, but she, as a Black woman, is afraid to come up. And I wore a Kamala Harris shirt in Detroit when I met her for lunch, and she said, "Don't wear that up north."
Wow.
But she's never been up north, but she's afraid. And I understand that. And I wasn't going to contradict her. But I said to her, I might just wear it up north. And I said, honestly, I'm white. Let them try to fuck with me. And, there's the first F-bomb. And and I promised her not to go anywhere by myself while I was wearing it. And on our way north, when we made rest stops at gas stations and things like that, not one person said anything negative to me. I didn't feel like I got any dirty looks from anybody. But I had my 6'4" son with me and my 6'1" husband. So I didn't feel like that was a particularly risky thing to do. And sorry, Montez, but I did actually this morning go down to the water or near the water where the shopping district is and where there are the restaurants and stuff. And I did wear this shirt and I was by myself. And I got probably 7 separate compliments on my shirt.
That's awesome.
And all from white people, because there's only white people up here pretty much. One was from what looked like probably an 85-year-old grandmother who was pushing a stroller of, like a little baby. She was pushing a stroller and we happened to be going in opposite directions. As we passed each other, she goes, "Love your shirt." you know.
And
Okay,
I don't
you know,
want the others to hear that I love
that's
your
what it
shirt.
seemed like. So
Yeah.
I kept it equally on the down low. Thanks a lot, you know. And then as I was walking into the restaurant, you know, another woman said, "Oh, I love your shirt." And I said, "Thanks so much." And I sat down and I'm eating, minding my own business, reading my Kindle. And a woman came up from her table and crossed the restaurant and came over to me and said, "I really love your shirt." And she started talking to me about it. She said, "Well, we got to do everything we can," you know. And I was like, "Wow, this is fantastic." And,
It is.
you know, and a
It
couple
is.
of other people. And then there's a farmer's market. And there was a guy at the farmer's market who, with, you know, one of the vendors at the farmer's market, had a T-shirt on that said, it said, I'm sure I'm going to get this wrong. It said, "My rights don't end where your religion begins."
Yes.
And I went over to him. I said, "I love your shirt." And he said, "I love yours." And, and I bought something from him.
Folks,
But I
it
went to
can
the farmer's
be as
market where there's a
easy.
huge crowd. And
It can
and
be as
I went,
easy
and
as wearing a shirt in public, you know,
that's what I
to
said. I said,
to show
maybe
people
I said to my friend, I said, "Maybe you can't go up there and wear this shirt. I can.
yeah.
And I'm going to do that. And I'm going
Speaking
to
of
be."
which,
So
speaking
go
of
ahead.
which, I'm wearing a shirt too. Shout out to my cousin Karen who sent this to me.
Mm.
Turns out she watches our show. And
Hi,
so
Karen.
Hi.
she
I
said,
was going to wear mine and then I decided, and I think I wore it last week. So I thought maybe this week I'd have something different on so you'd know it was actually a new day or whatever. But are you guys
It
like
is a new
so
day.
stoked? It is a new day.
it
It
really
is
is.
a
I
new day.
mean, I honestly was not expecting that convention to be as amazing as it was every single
Yeah,
night. I mean,
It was a party.
it was a
it
party.
was.
And the roll call of states, oh my gosh.
Okay, so 4 years ago during COVID, they were very creative in doing that amazing roll call in
Mhm.
every single state, you know, having the live feed from every
Yeah.
single state. And it was like, oh my God, that was great. But
Mhm.
this,
This was
oh
beyond.
my God, that playlist. I mean, I'm going to be playing that playlist all the way through Inauguration Day, right?
Yep.
I put that on
Um,
Facebook. Did you see? I put, and they have, for people that don't know, they posted the playlist of what each state song was.
Right.
yeah.
That
So
was a Spotify playlist. I'd love it if they did an Apple Music one too.
Well, I'm gonna have to sit and just make my own in Apple Music.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's what I'm going to do.
But
yeah,
but
But
it was
Spotify
just
makes it easy to share. You know, it's wonderful.
yes, it's
that
so
was
easy on Spotify to
completely
share playlists.
unexpected.
Yeah,
That roll call. It was
yeah,
utterly and totally unexpected. I mean, I honestly I thought they were just gonna do by acclamation, right?
Yeah.
That they were gonna get to California and California was gonna say, let's do it by acclamation, and that would be the end of it. So I was totally not expecting anything from that roll call. And it was like, what is this? This is
No, I had to go pick up my husband at the train station in the middle of it, and I'm like, but I don't want to leave. This is too much fun. I was listening to MSNBC in the car, you know, and my husband didn't get off the train until after, you know, until it was over, and I was like, oh my God, you missed that. And I keep telling him how he missed the best thing,
mm.
but he did.
you did.
What cracks me up is that you've got Meghan McCain tweeting out how great our convention was.
Right? Well,
As if it's a
right,
bad
and
thing.
it's not just her. It's like there all these
Oh, I'm
Republicans.
sorry. You said Megan McCain. I was thinking of Megan Kelly. Sorry.
Yeah,
No.
no, Megyn Kelly was
Megyn
nasty.
Kelly
but
wouldn't do that, but
yeah,
Yeah,
Meghan
I know.
McCain-
I was. Well,
But
but some
there
of some of them were actually tweeting in anger about how much
know.
enthusiasm we have.
I know.
So like that's
Right.
part of why I was like, this world is so backwards.
I mean, we forgot the best part of the roll call in
Yes.
that while that was going on, Harris and Walz were filling the same Milwaukee arena where the Republicans had their convention.
Right.
Yeah.
And she got over the top. They could see that, you know, when California gave the votes to get her over the top. And
Yep.
You had both conventions. You had both arenas filled to the brim.
To the gills.
Enthusiastic people.
18,000 in Milwaukee, and then however many filled up the place in Chicago. It was awesome, and it was like whoever thought of that like needs to get a genius award or something, because that was super. I mean, that just doubled the already off the charts enthusiasm for what's going on.
But it was also a really genius piece of stagecraft.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it was just inspired.
Yeah.
And trolling.
Yeah.
Because
that too.
Every single song that DJ Cassidy played was one that the Republicans had taken without permission and were slapped with a cease and desist.
Yep.
Right.
Not to mention what Trump did with Taylor Swift. What the Trumpies were doing with her image.
Yeah.
And please excuse me, I have to go get a cord. I was not prepared. I'm being outside and I don't have a power cord. I'll be right there. I'll be right back.
That's all right. We'll continue on. But, it's not just Trump's AI generated thing, which is disgusting, but that they had the nerve to take Beyonce's freedom that Beyonce gave to Kamala to use and put out his own bogus ad with it. I mean, that's just...
It is. But before we get to Trump, let's go back to the convention, because I'm still basking in the glow of the convention. And one of the things that I loved so much about this convention is that they reduced him to a laughing stock. I mean, when Kamala said last night, he is an unserious person, I was like, this is the line of the night, right? I mean, she made that clear that she said he was an unserious person, but he would do serious things, right? That if he were elected, it would be a different story.
Just like the clip that we opened the show with.
Right. So, and hello, Kat.
Raina.
Oh, that's hilarious. Like, I'm talking and this little cattail's coming down in front of Anyway.
Okay, be a cat lady.
Right? I mean, but every single night was so jam-packed with good stuff. Every night.
Just that. Democratic up-and-comers, Democratic legislators, Democratic governors, all of them substantial, good speakers with good policies. And it's like, oh my goodness, this party has his people 2%.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, they had Hulk Hogan and Kid Rock and Tucker Carlson, and it was just a hate fest for theirs.
Well, and that's the thing that made my whole week with this convention, is that it was lifting everybody up. It was, it was, yes, it was joyful. I mean, there's no other way to put it. But it was also like, for example, in her speech last night, she went on the attack against Trump, but the majority of her speech was
about her,
lifting her and lifting up us up, right? Saying, I'll do these, I'll think about you, which is, somebody just said to me that they thought this was better than any speech Obama gave because she wasn't afraid to attack Trump.
Right.
Whereas he would kind of go, oh, there's everybody likes all the sides, but she wasn't afraid to go after him.
Nope.
And honestly, Michelle Obama and Barack Obama both in their speeches on Tuesday night didn't spare him either.
No more of this when they go low, we go high shit.
Right? It's like,
yes, some of us learned our lessons, it appears.
Right.
Sorry about that.
So,
No
and
problem.
Michelle Obama's line about black jobs was classy. and perfect, right? I mean, it was perfect.
It
So
was. And for those of you that missed it, let's play a little of it right
Kamala
now.
Harris truly understands the unseen labor and unwavering commitment that has always made America great. Now, unfortunately, we know what comes next. We know folks are going to do everything they can to distort her truth. My husband and I sadly know a little something about this. For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of two hardworking, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black. Wait. I want to know, who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
So it was getting a little windy out there. So Aliza has gone inside. You're backlit.
Joan, is that-
You still see the beautiful view.
right.
So
Yeah. Is that a little better?
a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Michelle, I wish she would speak more.
I wish she would too, and I know why she doesn't, but I wish she would too. And she, honestly, of the two of them, I thought she was the highlight of the whole thing. Don't
Well,
tell me.
Barack said he was, the only person dumb enough to follow Michelle.
Yeah. He did have some moments of the night that, in terms of what matter a lot to me, will haunt Trump for the rest of his life.
Good.
Namely the crowd size joke.
Okay, the crowd size meme will now live forever. And if you
Yes.
haven't seen it,
Inside
I didn't clip
Trump's
it.
head. I don't even care if it will be forgotten by the rest of us. All I care about is that it is something that will eat Trump alive from his
the White House,
core.
as the White House Correspondents' Dinner did. We forget that,
Right.
Even professional comedians remark on how Obama has impeccable comic timing.
Yeah, he
He
does.
could be a stand-up
He really does.
if he
Yeah.
wanted to.
And as for Michelle, even though she is a truly gifted speaker and a brilliant person, people can have a lot of gifts and choose. They have the right to choose how to use them, however they choose, or not use them, and that in terms of what gives them pleasure and life, and
Right.
which is something I wish Republicans understood better. When it comes to motherhood or parenthood, or
I
having
think
children.
that was one of the themes to me that came through so strongly, was that Republicans don't get that, but we do, right? I mean, that was one of the themes was, that freedom means that for us, freedom to make our own decisions, freedom to be able to live, with earn a decent living, all those things. But to them, it's, freedom for corporations to take advantage of us, and freedom for, nobody to pay taxes and everything. So I thought they drew a great contrast all the way through, all 4 nights with that. And that is a message that super resonates with people.
I would also like to point out that J.D. Vance and his cohort would like to write women completely out of the public sphere.
Oh yeah. I mean, they want to take our votes away. They want to, basically make us chattel. So, he's not ashamed of saying that.
Track our menstrual cycles.
Yeah.
Keep us from traveling from state to state.
Well, Kamala had some things to say about that. She did. And
we addressed that in our cold opens,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, that's, I the way they
They
presented
are out of their
Project
mind.
2025 through the
Yeah.
entire 4 days was so good.
Yeah.
Beginning with Mallory McMorrow, they had the big prop book and they highlighted a different part of it really well. Actually, the best part was when they had Kenan Thompson,
I agree. He
and
was great.
they did a comedy bit
Yeah.
with it. And, that's as frightening as what they are proposing in all seriousness.
Mhm.
As Coach Wall said, when you write a 900-page playbook, you're planning to use it.
Exactly. Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah. I mean, as frightening as it is,
Mhm.
Yeah, you
I
don't put that kind of effort into something that's just a draft,
right.
or that's just a throwaway idea.
And
Right.
he's still trying to run away from it. I mean, and the thing is, he can't. He's going to own it forever and ever. Amen. Because it was his staff, his people that were in there.
All
His
worked for him.
press secretary that was in there. I mean, all these people were in there, and I think the intro to the book says it's that basically the blueprint for a second Trump term. So please spare me this I don't even know who these people are bullshit. I mean, give
And,
me a break.
God willing, we win this election, that plan is locked and loaded and ready to go the next time any Republican takes office.
Right.
Right. And that's what
Well-
scares me, is that I don't think that, I don't feel confident that that plan's going to go away.
Well,
No.
so here's the thing. That's why, and this was something that I thought they also did a good job at the convention of saying, is that it's not enough to elect her. You have to elect the Senate, and you have to elect the House to do the work of taking their tools that they plan to use away and putting in some guardrails, right? So, for example, the Comstock Act needs to go.
Right.
Because that's how they were planning to make sure that women don't get birth control abortion care in all 50
Birth
states.
control is in the
Birth
Comstock Act
control
too.
too. Yeah. Right.
Controls in there
So
too. Yeah.
exactly. So those were all super important messages that were reinforced over all 4 days, and all the some of the great candidates. I wish Katrina Christensen had been one of the speakers
Featured. Yeah.
I honestly do, because she's like surging in the polls. She's awesome. And nobody knows about her because she's not getting any national press, but
because it's North Dakota and nobody is thinking about it. Nobody is thinking that she's going to do as well as she is showing that she is.
right.
Emily
And yet,
List isn't supporting her yet. It's a shame. Even when they did the roll call
Mhm.
and the North Dakota delegation didn't mention their Senate candidate.
I know.
I thought that was an opportunity missed.
Right? I thought so too. I thought that would have been where you did it.
Yeah.
And at least at the very least, people would be asking who is Katrina Christensen, right? And
Yeah.
and
they would,
looking at that,
And maybe if they Googled it, they would come up with our podcast interviews with her.
right, that, and we're going to do another one, by the way.
Yeah, we're going to have her back.
Is that set up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to talk to her again.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So, but like, that's the key, is just getting, I was just talking to her campaign manager the other day, and he said they're on track to raise 4 million right now. And they feel like if they could get the national exposure, that would give them enough money to get ahead. So right now she's cut the other guy's lead, Kevin Cramer, in half.
And he's the incumbent.
And they're not and the Mitch McConnell and the Republicans are not planning to spend money in North Dakota.
For the same reasons that nobody's paying attention to the Democrats.
Exactly.
Right.
So if they can break through and get some national exposure, and people who listen to this podcast talk about her, right? I mean, like tweet about her, follow her on
Yeah, she's
Threads.
fantastic.
Although did you find her on Threads? I couldn't find her on Threads. I found her on
I couldn't
Twitter.
find her on Threads, which
Yeah.
we'll have to talk to them again about
Yeah.
that.
So
Yeah, they should get on Threads.
but anyway, I mean, follow her and throw her a couple of bucks if you can, because she's worth it.
Being blue state people, we have all adopted some red staters that we've been sending monthly donations to.
Mm-hmm.
I've got John Tester and Sherrod Brown
Mm-hmm.
as the ones I adopted.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
I'm sending Katrina money.
I added Katrina.
Yeah, I send Katrina money. I send Colin Allred money. I send, I'm trying to think who else. I have
Colin Allred, by the way, was fabulous last night.
Yes,
he was.
Great.
That was a fantastic speech.
Yeah.
And I thought Adam Kinzinger's speech was
I did too.
unbelievably well written and well delivered.
I've interacted with him on Twitter, and I've found him to be thoughtful and respectful.
Yeah.
And, a decent person. He is the kind of Republican that I'd like to see more of. I mean, it's, it was wonderful to see those Republicans come out and speak at our convention. And all of them said, a vote for Kamala, was it Jeff Duncan who said that a vote for Kamala Harris doesn't make you a Democrat, it makes you a patriot?
Yes.
That was one of the great
lines.
That was one of the great lines. And that is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
We know they are not Democrats. They have a place in this coalition to prevent another Trump presidency. But they don't really have a place.
Go ahead.
Our big tent isn't big enough for their conservative economic ideas.
It's true.
And social ideas. But
to
have thoughtful, rational people that you can talk to and have some bipartisan success with.
Right.
We need sane partners to get things done the way our government works.
Right.
And we need a Republican Party or a conservative party that is sane and puts country first again.
And isn't intractable. It doesn't just walk away.
Right. I mean, this is a natural outcome of what Gingrich started 30 years ago.
Yep. Absolutely is. Absolutely
because
is. And
what
you probably
I was starting to say,
What
I was starting to say is that we need Republicans who see Democrats as human beings.
Exactly.
Yes.
And who see Democrats as worthy of existing. And as a party. And the thing is that the not only do I appreciate their appearance at our convention and their now I'm not talking about like Byron Donalds was there and Mike Lindell was there.
Mike Lindell with his mustache shaved off.
Or Matt Walsh, who was in
right, Matt Walsh. Yeah, no, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the for real Republicans like Jeff Duncan and like Adam Kinzinger, who were there in good faith.
Olivia Troy.
Yeah, Olivia Troy, who and what I appreciated in addition to them being there was the Democrats' appreciation of their being there and embrace of their being there and cheering for them and encouraging them and not, for what they are and who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that it, shows the difference in maturity level between as a group, the Democrats and the Republicans, and the difference in levels of openness is the way, because you're right. It started with, Gingrich, who I think it was Gingrich who stopped the bipartisan dinners they used to have, and all the bipartisan social activities they used to have as a way of you know, making their work together easier so that they would, see each other as human beings and people with families and, people who had senses of humor and talent. Like the groups that sang together or that would play sports together, that kind of thing. Gingrich put a stop to all of that.
Right.
Gingrich was the one that started all the government shutdowns as a tactic.
Yeah.
We're not going to give in.
Republicans work for the government too. Republicans lose, Republican lay people, civil servants, lose out when there's a government shutdown too. Like, I don't know if he realizes that or realized that. It's bad for everybody when there's a government shutdown, not just Democrats.
Right. Well, and that's what you thought they learned the first time they did it, and they didn't. I mean, they lost the House over that government shutdown, and they still do it because I don't know why. It's a thing, and just to put an exclamation point on that, September is the month where all the budget appropriations have to be done. I mean, they've already kind of approved the budget, but they have to appropriate everything, and they've only done like 5 out of 12.
And they've got some poison pills that they're putting into the legislation.
They definitely do. And there's what, like 3 weeks? That's all they're going to do, and then that's done until November.
Guys, we may have a government shutdown in September.
So yeah, there may be one, and that will not benefit them. I'm going to say that right now.
So politically, they think that's going to energize their base, but
it's so dumb. It's going to deliver us the House.
Everybody else.
Yeah.
This is how superficial they are. Today, Eric Bolling, who used to be a Fox News host until he went to Newsmax, I think he had to leave Fox News because he was sexually harassing people. Anyway, Eric Bolling was literally
over here
whining about how he goes, we're losing the election, we're losing all the enthusiasm on their side, and then this is where he gets petty, right? And they have camo hats. Those are ours. And by the way, I have ordered a camo hat. I have not received it yet, but I have it on order. So
I can't order it. It says out of stock. I can't even order it or get on a wait list for it.
I pre-ordered for the second wave, but did you see how many of them were at the convention? They must have been selling them there.
Oh man.
So anyway,
it was they think that Democrats don't hunt, or Democrats don't serve in the armed forces, or Democrats have no reason to wear camo. Again, same thing about patriotism. They think, what do they think?
Oh, that was the other thing we whined about. They're taking back patriotism and freedom. And she had 2 American flags behind her.
Democrats didn't hear that one.
Democrats
I hadn't heard that.
Always been patriotic. We just did not feel we needed to shout it out. We're already in the strongest economy, the strongest militarily, the country in the world. We don't have to be shouting about it all the time, right?
Right. We don't have to be nationalistic. We can just be patriots, right?
We're secure in greatness of America.
17 flags on our truck.
So it's interesting to see how distressed they are. I mean, oh my God, Trump was shitposting all the way through Kamala's last night.
Did you see that thing where he called into Fox? And
yes,
he was
melted down.
So out of it that he kept accidentally pressing buttons on his phone while he was talking to them. And then when they got him out of there, he dialed into Newsmax to do the same thing.
And Fox News couldn't wait to get him off the air. They were like, thank you, bye-bye. And it was great. And he was just going out of his mind. There was one all caps moment and it was probably right around the time that she got to the out of their minds line, where he all caps said, "Is she talking about me?"
Hey, a hit dog hollers, it's just the whole, if the shoe fits. But I want to say something about like the one thing I did see people on our side a little concerned about is, and it's something that Dave and I like roll our eyes at every time when we go to a July 4th event and they play Bruce Springsteen's "Born in the USA,"
I know.
as if it's a patriotic song,
instead of
you know, and it's not.
no.
And played it last night, and people were saying, you know, Democrats were saying, "Oh my God, that was such a lazy song choice," and blah blah blah. And part of me was like, I wonder if it wasn't.
No.
I wonder if, like,
There were no lazy song choices.
there were, but like, part of me is like, you know, Democrats actually understand the meaning behind those words, and that maybe we understand that it wasn't such a great idea to go into Vietnam and kill the yellow man. And,
Right.
you know, maybe this isn't the way, you know, war isn't the way, you know, like maybe it wasn't necessarily, I mean, maybe it was, there's a very good chance, like, you know, probably more than 50% chance it was just a lazy song choice. But, you know, if either party chose that song knowing what it meant, it would be the Democratic Party.
Right.
Well, that's true, but I don't think,
that
I think it was just a poor
I
choice.
think it was just stupid. It probably was.
And also Bruce allows us to play it.
Right.
That's what I was saying. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Beyonce. Thank you, all these artists that gave us permission
that
to
allowed
use their
them to be played. Yeah. So,
Pink and
by
her
the way,
daughter.
I know she was great. She was great, and I loved the DJs. I love them. They're just like,
I know. I want to go to Las Vegas just to see DJ Cassidy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, whoever like was the overseer for this, the executive producer, they should get an Emmy because it was perfect.
It was so well done, and each night it's like, how are they going to top that? And each night they did.
Right.
And it was entertainment as well as politics.
Yeah.
It was just riveting. It was riveting to watch.
It was riveting, and it made politics fun, which is something that we don't have enough of. I mean,
especially these days.
The contrast between these guys over here glooming and dooming everybody and us being joyful and happy and I don't know, Donna, I wasn't at 2008. You were, but I certainly watched all of 2008, but I felt like this was even more joyful and more.
Yeah. To tell you the truth about 2008, even though I was there, I hardly saw any of the real convention. You know, we were there.
We were in the tent.
we had one press pass between us. We were taking turns going to the floor.
I remember that.
And so I saw, and it was crowded. You know, I passed right by Jamie Foxx, you know, I mean, we saw a lot of people, you know, I was on elevators with, you know, Congress people. It was, you know, that was cool. I went to a lot of the events around the convention, you know, and all of us went to different events and covered those. But the actual convention on the floor, you know, I would catch a little speech here on a monitor, you know, in the tent, or I would catch a little bit there just walking through the arena. You know, the only thing that I saw all the way through was, you know, the last night when Obama accepted. And that was
in the stadium.
Yeah. And I will, you know, I'm so grateful that I will always have that, you know. And then, of course, the following day we were flying back, and that's when McCain decided to drop his bomb on who his vice president was. And that kind of, you know, so we didn't even get a day to bask in the historic goodness of nominating Barack Obama. You know, we were already having to deal with the delights of Sarah Palin. So,
yeah.
You know, well, I'm really glad the Republicans went first this time.
I am too. And I mean, I keep thinking about this, and I think that Biden had a plan to launch her.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep thinking about it from like an aircraft carrier, you know, standpoint, where you have this really short runway, but the plane takes off and goes straight up. I mean, I'm not saying that Biden didn't intend to run, but I think at some point between when the debate was done, the first debate,
Yeah.
and when he actually withdrew, that he had in his mind a plan
Yeah.
for how to smoothly make that transition. There was not going to be any open convention. There was not going to be any fighting. It was going to be Kamala or bust. And I think that he's a master politician. I just don't believe that he woke up in the morning and said, that Sunday morning and said, I'm going to withdraw today. I think that he had a plan and that he executed it and that it was perfect.
And all the time, he was doing the NATO conference. He was negotiating for hostages, for that hostage swap. He was taking care of the country. He was doing everything magnificently.
Right.
And, we haven't talked enough about the first night.
Right.
Where we got, I cried so many times. Through the whole thing, I was in tears. I was sobbing. I was laughing. It was joyous. It was Biden's speech. We've got a little excerpt from that. Let's play that.
Each of us has a part in the American story. For me and my family, there's a song that means a lot to us, that captures the best of who we are as a nation. The song is called American Anthem. There's one verse that stands out, and I can't sing worth a damn, so I'm not going to try. I'll just quote it. The work and prayers of centuries have brought us to this day. What shall our legacy be? What will our children say? Let me know in my heart, when my days are through, America, America, I gave my best to you. I made a lot of mistakes in my career, but I gave my best to you. For 50 years, like many of you, I've given my heart and soul to our nation. And I've been blessed a million times in return with the support of the American people. I've either been too young to be in the Senate because I wasn't 30 yet, and too old to stay as president. But I hope you know how grateful I am to all of you. I can honestly say, and I mean this from the bottom, give you my word as a Biden, I can honestly say I'm more optimistic about the future than I was when I was elected as a 29-year-old United States Senator. I mean it. Folks, we just have to remember who we are. We're the United States of America. And there's nothing we cannot do when we do it together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you.
I know.
And Hillary,
America, I gave you my best.
And then Hillary's speech after that.
Oh, well, Hillary's was before that. But I actually went back and watched Hillary's speech again yesterday before Kamala's speech because I was exchanging text messages with my daughter and we were pulling up pictures from 2016 when we were in the hall for Hillary's and, sending them back and forth. And her speech was, it was cathartic. That's what she described it as. And I would also say that about it. It was cathartic to hear her, get up there and be unbridled. If anybody had a reason to be bitter, it would be Hillary. And she wasn't.
No.
I said I will die mad that she wasn't the first female president. I will die mad about it.
That she's done all she can to help Kamala Harris.
Oh, of course she has, because that's the person she is.
Yeah.
Right. That's who she is, and that's who she would have been as a. I mean, when I start thinking I'm going to die mad is when I think about what could have been and wasn't, right?
Yeah.
And everything. But and if that's how I feel, right? My daughter feels that times 10. I mean, she's like times 1,000. She will never not be mad about what happened in 2016.
But you guys, it's crazy making, because you think back to all these other different hinge points in history. If the Supreme Court hadn't ruled the way they did in Bush v. Gore,
Yep.
if the real Robert F. Kennedy hadn't been assassinated in
Oh, I
1968,
know.
the trajectory of our history, I mean, there still would have been bad things. There's no way of knowing, but there are just all these, hinge points, and you just make yourself crazy. This is the way it is. This is the way it has to be, and all we can do is move forward.
Right.
So,
and that is, I mean, we aren't going back is
Right.
one of the best campaign slogans I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it absolutely forbids you from dwelling
Right.
on things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. And I thought that Hillary did a great job in her speech of saying exactly that. We're not, don't be mad, vote.
Yeah.
And,
wear your shirts.
Wear your shirts, right, in swing states. Now, I'm going to be in Michigan for 2.5 weeks in October.
Yeah.
So, I'll be wearing my shirts there too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But the Hillary speech was great. The Biden speech, though, I mean, I was glad he seemed mad to me, like angry. And it felt cathartic to me for him to give that speech and speak his anger. And when he said that part about being too young to be in the Senate and too old to be in the president, I was that one just wrecked me. It was like,
And I think he's entitled to that anger.
Yeah, I do too.
And I said, I don't want to see or hear one single word about where was this Joe Biden on the campaign trail. I didn't want to hear it, because this, what he was doing was fighting off bullshit accusations of being too old when he could have been, concentrating on presidenting and concentrating on campaigning. Instead, he was busy with this bullshit narrative that the media kept perpetuating.
Yeah. Did you guys?
It was just maddening.
It was maddening.
Mm-hmm.
And the media continues to do it. I don't know if you caught the New Yorker article about Ezra Klein.
No, maybe I did. Which one?
By Ezra Klein?
It's a profile of Ezra Klein, and
Oh no,
and how he almost single-handedly started the whole Biden must resign thing.
Oh,
and they're praising him.
Oh, for that?
Yes.
I actually canceled my New Yorker subscription over how they treated Biden.
Yeah.
And I figured I basically went through all the outlets that so poorly treated him, and then figured out which ones I have to keep for work and which ones I don't. And the New Yorker was expendable, so bye-bye. They were gone.
Yeah.
They're expensive too.
They're expensive. Unfortunately, I it's gonna be a while before mine renews again. So I've got it still. But it was an infuriating article.
Oh,
just
I'm glad I didn't read it. I'm glad I didn't read it. But
I don't need my blood pressure to go up anymore.
Right.
I need my energy for other stuff.
And speaking of infuriating,
I know where you're going. I just know it.
Well, like one of the most memorable images that we'll have from this convention was following Tim Walz's excellent speech and then seeing his beautiful family and his sweet son just overcome with emotion
That's
over
my
seeing his
dad.
dad do this. That's my dad. It's very short. Let's play
We
that.
named her Hope. Hope, Gus, and Gwen, you are my entire world, and I love you. I'm letting you in on how we started a family, because this is a big part about what this election is about.
So can you believe that those ghouls on the right are picking on that kid?
They're bullying.
Yes.
They're verbally bullying him, even if he doesn't see it. It's just wrong. So Ann Coulter, I think, might have started it, but I saw Dinesh D'Souza.
Yeah, it wasn't only her.
It wasn't only
wasn't.
her. She actually deleted hers, but it was too late. She'd already done the damage from it. And so that we're clear, his son, Gus, who is now all our sons, I
Right.
love Gus.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, has ADHD, an anxiety disorder, and he's on the spectrum.
He's neurodivergent.
Yeah, neurodivergent.
Neurodivergent.
So,
And he was nonverbal for a while.
Right. And so,
and also a very intelligent young man.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
So,
one of the fallacies is that kids like this aren't intelligent when in fact they're super intelligent. So
Yeah.
I mean, to see them shit on him for being so proud of his dad and having that kind of wholesome relationship with his dad where he could just display those emotions, those healthy emotions, was just unbelievable. Like, I remember when kids of candidates were off limits, and that's not, although that never stopped Republicans. They went after Amy Carter.
They were never off limits for Republicans. Never.
No.
I mean, look at
But
Amy
they were for
Carter.
us. Do you remember
All the way
mild criticisms of the Bush twins when W was in office, and and they were,
and we slapped ourselves down for it. We exercised restraint. We policed ourselves and said, no, we don't do this.
But I mean, this is their family values on display. Here's a kid who loves his dad so much. He's overwhelmed with emotion. And honestly, if I were in that room and I just with my ADHD alone, I would have been overwhelmed with the noise and the overstimulated, right, from all of that. And then my dad's on stage, his dad's on stage, and he's just said, you're my life, right? That's what Tim Walz said, right, to him. And I would be just like Gus. I would be in absolute tears. And I just don't understand people picking on that. I don't get it. And all I can say is that they must be so miserable that they want everybody else to be miserable too. They don't want anybody else to feel any joy or pride or anything else. And
that's the MAGA brand, isn't it?
It is. And that's, again, I guess the contrast, right, is that they're haters and we're not. But happy kids, like the little grandnieces last night.
Oh, not just the grandnieces, but the Waltzes and
Ella and Cole.
Ella, right? The Emhoff kids.
Yeah. Oh man. And can you imagine accepting a nomination for president on your 10th wedding anniversary?
Did either of you guys know it was their anniversary?
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
Oh, I didn't know.
But I did because
it was reported.
It was reported, but also because in the there was something like a video or something that Doug Emhoff made.
Yesterday, they wished each other a happy anniversary in the morning over social media. And he made a video.
I'd seen it before
Because
that.
one of my favorite things about his speech was how he talked about his rambling first phone call to her.
We
Yeah.
all want to hear that voicemail.
I know, right?
So she kept that rambling voicemail and she plays it for him every year on there. She makes him listen to it on their anniversary. And I was like,
That's
oh
so
no,
cute.
that means this morning he
Doug.
had to listen to that voicemail. And I'm like, I want to listen to that voicemail.
I think this is a good note to end this on. I mean, we could go
happy
another
anniversary.
hour about the convention, but
Well, the only thing I'd like to say is that Michelle Obama's do something is what we have to do, right? If we want to end,
Absolutely.
let's end there, right? Whatever that is. If you can donate, donate. If you can make calls, make calls. If you can write postcards, do that. If you can knock doors, do that. But do something, because this is our chance. This is our chance to basically vanquish him and make him irrelevant.
Yeah,
all right, you guys, we know the assignment.
we do.
We understand the assignment.
Yeah. So that is our show for this week. Join us next time on YouTube, MOMocrats.buzzsprout.com, or on your favorite podcast service such as iTunes, Google, and Amazon Music. And be sure to check our Facebook page for updates. I'm Donna Schwartz Mills with Karoli and Aliza Worthington, and we're saying goodbye for the MOMocrats. Bye.
Bye.
MOMocrats MOMochat is part of the Demcast family of podcasts.